It was the dry season at Lagos NYSC orientation camp. The sun scorched without mercy, and the air was full of dust and sweat. Ada, standing in line for registration, adjusted her glasses and sighed. She wasn't here to make friends. Her plan was simple: serve, pass out, and move on. Then Emeka walked up beside her, grinning like he owned the camp. "Bookworm?" he teased, peering at the heavy novel in her hand. "You are reading Shakespeare on the parade ground." Ada rolled her eyes, but a small smile crept across her face. "At least I'm not here chasing girls." That was the beginning. By the second week, they were inseparable. He made her laugh until her sides hurt. She helped him study for his econ exam. They'd sit at Mami Market at night, eating suya and zobo, talking about dreams bigger than the camp walls. Ada confessed she never saw a real marriage growing up. Her parents lived like enemies. Emeka said his father left when he was 8. "That's why I want different," he whispered one night. "A real home. Laughter. Peace." Ada looked at him, the firelight from the suya stand dancing across his cheekbones. In that moment, something settled in her chest: hope. They made a promise under the stars. No matter what happened, they would fight for love, together. What neither of them knew was how hard that fight would become. After NYSC, Lagos swallowed them whole. The traffic, the hustle, the ambition, it was the city of dreams and pressure. Ada got a small studio apartment in Lekki Phase 2. Emeka rented a room in Ogudu while working with a startup in 6. Life was fast, expensive, and unforgiving, but their love kept pace. They texted constantly. "Have you eaten? How did the interview go? Miss you." Each night ended the same way, a long phone call, sometimes lasting until Ada dozed off mid-sentence. Emeka became her biggest cheerleader. When Ada started a makeup business from her flat, using her NYSC savings to buy brushes and palettes, Emeka built her a simple website and carried her boxes to clients' weddings on weekends. "One day, you'll do makeup for governors' wives," he'd say, wiping sweat off his brow. Ada, in turn, helped him prepare for his final professional exams. She'd quiz him late into the night, her head resting on his shoulder as he mumbled answers. Once, she caught him sleeping at his desk and tucked a handwritten note into his bag. "For everything you're building, I see you. I'm proud." His friends joked that he was too whipped. But Ada felt safe. She saw his flaws, the way he sometimes got too angry when Lagos stress hit, or how he hated being corrected, but she believed love would soften those edges. On her birthday, Emeka threw her a surprise dinner at a rooftop lounge in Victoria Island. Fairy lights, candles, and a customized cake that read, "To my peace in this mad city." They danced under the stars again. Not in Mami Market this time, but on polished tile, overlooking the Lagos lagoon. Ada believed love would always feel like this, warm, full, and sure. But even the most perfect love has cracks. And marriage would expose them all. It was on a quiet Sunday afternoon that Emeka proposed. Ada had just finished a makeup session for a bride in Banana Island when he called her to meet him at her favorite restaurant in Lekki. When she walked in, confused and still holding her makeup box, Emeka was already on one knee. Her sister was there. His brothers were there. A few close friends. The soft jazz music paused, and all eyes turned to her. "Ada," he said, voice trembling, "you've been my calm in the chaos, my light when Lagos went dark. Will you marry me?" Ada blinked back tears. Everything moved in slow motion. Her hands shook. She said yes. But the weeks that followed were a blur of tension. Planning a wedding in Lagos was war, and Emeka's mother was the general. "She's too bold," Mama Emeka said one evening during a family meeting. "Who will correct her in marriage if she talks like that?" "She's independent," Emeka replied. "She should be submissive," his mother snapped. The words haunted Ada. She found herself smiling tightly through vendor appointments and traditional attire fittings. Every little decision turned into a debate: colors, guest list, venue. One night, she locked herself in the bathroom and cried on the cold tiles. The wedding day arrived with glitz and chaos. A convoy of Benzes and Lexus SUVs lined up in front of a luxury hall in Lekki. The hall sparkled with crystals and gold drapery. The air smelled of roses and wealth. Ada sat in the bridal car, fully dressed in her white mermaid gown, and stared at her reflection. "Am I ready?" she whispered to no one. Her sister knocked gently. "They're waiting." Ada stepped out, face calm, heart trembling. As she walked down the aisle, surrounded by applause, cameras, and violins, she forced a smile. Inside, she didn't feel like a bride. She felt like someone walking into something too deep. But still, she walked. Because love, she believed, would carry them. The honeymoon was soft and golden. They flew to Cape Town, stayed in a 5-star resort overlooking the ocean, and lived like the lovebirds they once imagined. Room service in the mornings. Long baths with rose petals. Matching silk robes. Laughter that echoed through the marble corridors of their suite. In those 2 weeks, Ada began to relax. Emeka made her coffee in bed. They watched Netflix under thick duvets. He kissed her forehead often and whispered, "Let's never lose this." Back home in Lagos, they moved into a sleek, modern duplex in a gated estate in Oja. White marble floors, glass staircases, automated lighting, and scented candles lit every corner. They built new routines, morning workouts together, cooking jollof rice while dancing in the kitchen, Emeka always pretending he could cook better. They had dinner dates in fancy restaurants, places where the menus didn't have prices. They hosted couple friends and toasted to forever. One night, lying in bed, Ada asked, "Can we wait before we try for kids? Maybe 1 or 2 years. I just want to enjoy us." Emeka held her hand and nodded. "Of course. I want to know you even deeper. No rush." They promised each other soft love, not just passion, but patience. Not just laughter, but listening. And for a while, that's exactly what they had. But promises are easy to make. Harder to keep when real life enters the room. Especially when real life comes wearing your mother-in-law's perfume. 6 months into the marriage, the questions began. At first, they came with a smile from Emeka's mother. "Any news for us?" Then with more force. "All these trips and enjoyment, is that what marriage is about? When will you give us something to hold?" Ada tried to brush it off. But the pressure mounted. Church aunties dropped hints. Emeka's siblings joked loudly about baby names. And slowly, Emeka changed. He stopped saying no rush. He started pulling away after calls with his mum. He began sleeping on the edge of the bed. One night, Ada finally asked, "Are you okay?" He looked at her like a stranger. "Maybe we should just try. At least do pregnancy test." Her heart cracked. She had planned her career goals carefully. She was finally being invited to top Lagos weddings as a luxury makeup artist. Big names. Big money. But she knew, if she pushed back, it would be twisted into rebellion. Disrespect. Pride. So she agreed. Even though she wasn't ready. She started tracking ovulation. Drinking fertility teas. Pretending to be excited about baby plans. But deep down, Ada was grieving the version of herself that once had a voice. She stopped talking about her dreams. She stopped calling her sister. She started smiling less. When her period came again, she locked herself in their luxury bathroom, slid to the floor beside the soaking tub, and cried into a designer towel. Emeka didn't notice. He was on his phone, scrolling Instagram reels of babies and smiling couples. And for the first time, Ada felt invisible. Ada found out she was pregnant on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. She had been feeling off for days, dizzy in the mornings, unable to stand the smell of her favorite perfume, and constantly exhausted. When the 2 red lines appeared on the test strip, she stared at them in silence. She should have felt joy. Instead, she felt fear. When she told Emeka, his eyes lit up. "You're serious?" he whispered. Then he hugged her so tightly she could hardly breathe. That night, he ordered a feast, grilled fish from Jevonik, cocktails from their favorite lounge in Six, and even posted a cryptic status, "Something big is coming." But after the initial excitement, reality returned. The morning sickness was brutal. Ada could barely keep water down. Her sense of smell became a curse. Even the scent of Emeka's cologne made her nauseous. She vomited into the toilet while Emeka scrolled his phone in bed. "Babe, it's normal," he said. "You'll be fine." But she wasn't fine. She stopped working. Clients complained about late appointments. Her body felt foreign, swollen feet, aching back, constant fatigue. She cried at night, but quietly. Emeka was either working late or too tired to talk. One day, her sister hosted a baby shower in a rooftop lounge in Lekki. It was perfect, champagne flutes, pastel balloons, and a cake shaped like a baby Odyssey. Ada wore a satin dress that clung to her belly and smiled for the cameras. But inside, she felt empty. Emeka arrived an hour late, laughing, brushing it off. Traffic and AWOL. She wanted to scream, "You forgot." But she smiled instead, posed for pictures, and clutched her glass of mocktail like a lifeline. The following week, she was admitted to the hospital after nearly fainting. Dehydration, the doctor said. Stress. Still, Emeka didn't see it. He rubbed her arm gently and said, "It'll pass. Women go through worse. You're strong." That word, strong, began to feel like a burden. A label slapped on her pain to silence it. By the third trimester, her laughter had disappeared. She stopped doing her makeup. Stopped calling friends. Stopped looking in mirrors. At night, she'd lie awake in their luxury bedroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, custom headboard, soundproof doors, and wonder why no one could hear her screaming on the inside. Then came the labor. It started like whispers, soft cramps, steady pain. She didn't panic. She thought she was ready. But the pain intensified. Hours passed. Complications arose. The doctors said the baby's position was wrong. They rushed her into emergency C-section. She went under, crying. When she woke up, Emeka was beside her. He smiled nervously. "It's a boy," he said. "He's fine." Everyone said congratulations. Nurses brought flowers. Her mother-in-law danced in the hallway. But no one asked Ada how she was. They handed her the baby. He was soft, perfect, blinking at the ceiling. Everyone waited for her to smile. She tried. She really tried. But inside, she felt nothing. Not hate. Not love. Just nothing. She took a photo with him and smiled. The kind of smile that looked beautiful on Instagram. But behind her eyes, the darkness had started to spread. And it wouldn't stop growing. The nights were the worst. The baby cried every 2 hours, loud, sharp, relentless. Ada would drag herself out of bed, sore from the C-section, her eyes burning from sleeplessness. She'd cradle him in the rocking chair, trying to breastfeed, her body aching, her soul tired. The luxury home she once adored now felt like a cage. White walls. Silent halls. A crying child in her arms and a quiet storm in her chest. She cried while feeding. Cried while burping him. Cried in the shower. She cried even when nothing was wrong, and couldn't explain why. Emeka noticed, but not deeply. He brought her breakfast some mornings. He kissed her forehead. But most nights, he slept soundly while she paced the room, whispering lullabies with trembling lips. When she finally built up the courage to speak, he brushed it off. "I'm just not feeling like myself," she said one morning, voice barely above a whisper. He looked up from his laptop, impatient. "Ada, you're fine. Women go through this every day. You'll be okay." She nodded, pretending to believe him. But inside, she was falling apart. She stopped looking in the mirror. Her once glamorous makeup kits gathered dust. Her clothes no longer fit, and even if they did, she no longer had the energy to care. She felt ugly. Weak. Broken. During the day, she forced a smile for visitors. She played the perfect new mum role, posting baby pictures online with captions like, "Our little king has arrived." But when the curtains were closed, and the house fell silent, Ada would curl up on the floor beside the crib and cry, long, aching sobs that no one heard. Her world had gone quiet, even in the noise. And Emeka, once her safe place, felt further away than ever. It happened on a Thursday night. The baby had been crying non-stop for nearly 3 hours. No position soothed him. Not breastfeeding, not rocking, not singing. Ada hadn't slept in 2 days. Her body trembled from exhaustion. Her chest felt tight. Her eyes burned. She stood in the dim nursery, trying to calm her son, whispering, "Please, please stop." Emeka walked in, shirtless, frowning. "Can't you handle this? He's just a baby." Ada turned to him, voice quivering. "I'm trying. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I feel." But he cut her off. "You're not the first woman to have a baby, Ada," he said coldly. "You'll be fine. Stop acting like this is the end of the world." Those words shattered something in her. Later that night, the baby finally dozed off on her chest. But Ada couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring into nothing. Then the voices came, soft, cruel whispers. "You're not enough. You're failing him. He deserves better. You should disappear." Without waking Emeka, Ada moved carefully. She packed a baby bag, picked up her son, wrapped a shawl over her nightgown, and walked out the front door. She didn't know where she was going. She just needed the silence. The streetlights of Lekki were still on when a security guard found her. Ada was sitting on a wooden bench in a gated estate park, barefoot, hair loose, clutching her baby like he was all she had left. Her hands trembled. Her eyes were hollow. She was humming the same lullaby on repeat. The baby was asleep. But Ada wasn't blinking. She was just rocking. The guard called the police. When Emeka arrived, everything about him looked undone. His shirt was buttoned wrong, eyes red, voice shaking. He ran to her. Ada. Ada, please. Let's go home. She didn't look at him. She didn't speak. She just held the baby tighter. The officers were gentle. A female one wrapped Ada in a blanket. Another held her baby while the ambulance came. Emeka watched it all, unable to breathe. He didn't cry at first. Not until they wheeled Ada into the hospital and a nurse whispered, "She's not okay. She's been carrying this alone for too long." At the hospital, the truth was finally spoken. A kind, middle-aged female doctor sat Emeka down. Her tone was soft, but her words were heavy. She has postpartum depression. It's real. And she's not weak, she's drowning. Emeka sat still. She's not broken, the doctor continued. She's exhausted. Overwhelmed. She needed support, not pressure. Presence, not advice. And then Emeka, strong, proud, put together Emeka, broke down. He wept into his palms. "I didn't know," he whispered. He sat by Ada's bedside later that night. Her eyes were closed. The baby was in a cot beside her. Emeka held her hand and whispered, "I'm sorry I didn't see you. I thought I was doing enough. But I left you alone in the dark." When Ada opened her eyes, she didn't speak. But she didn't pull her hand away. The doctor referred them to a therapist who specialized in maternal mental health. Sessions were scheduled. Emeka promised to attend every single one. The healing was just beginning. But this time, Ada wasn't walking alone. Therapy began quietly. Their first session was in a small, warmly lit office in Ikoyi. Soft yellow walls. A diffuser filled the air with lavender. Ada sat curled on the couch, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Emeka sat beside her, unsure where to place his hands, unsure what to say. The therapist, Dr. Ifema, spoke gently. "This space is for truth," she said. "Not blame. Just truth." It took a while for Ada to find her voice. But when she did, the dam broke. "I didn't feel like a mother," she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I felt like a machine. I smiled so no one would ask questions. I was drowning, and I was expected to look beautiful while doing it." Emeka's throat tightened. "I kept thinking I was doing my best, paying bills, showing up. But I didn't realize showing up means more than standing in the room." Dr. Ifema nodded. "Love is not performance. It's presence. It's listening, even when you don't understand." That session opened something in them. The days that followed looked different. Emeka took time off work. He stopped checking his emails in the middle of conversations. He learned to change diapers, warm milk, and stay up during night feeds, not perfectly, but consistently. He started saying things like, "How are you today, Ada? Would you like to take a walk alone while I stay with the baby? Let's call your sister. You need your people." Ada began to breathe again. She picked up a novel for the first time in months. Watched her reflection without flinching. Smiled, not for social media, but because the fog was slowly lifting. One afternoon, while folding the baby's clothes, Emeka looked up and whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Ada looked at him, eyes soft, voice steady. "I wanted to," she admitted. "But something told me you'd come back for me." They started taking slow walks in their estate. Sometimes hand in hand, sometimes quiet, but together. Ada's laughter returned, not loud at first, but real. She began journaling again. Wearing clothes that made her feel beautiful, not just covered. Posting less. Resting more. Healing didn't happen overnight. But for the first time in a long time, Ada believed she might survive this. Not just as a mother, but as herself. Sunlight spilled softly into their living room one quiet morning. Ada sat on the couch, wearing a loose cotton dress, her hair in a messy bun. Her baby lay in her lap, eyes wide, giggling as he played with her fingers. For the first time, Ada wasn't pretending. She laughed, freely. Her eyes sparkled. She wasn't just holding her baby, she was seeing him. Emeka walked in, holding his phone up to take a picture. But then paused, just watching. Ada looked up at him. "I'm glad he waited for me," she whispered. Emeka knelt beside them and kissed her hand. "So am I." Weeks later, Ada stood before a small circle of new mothers in a support group. Her voice was steady as she shared her story. "I thought strength meant smiling through pain," she said. "But real strength is letting yourself be seen. Heard. Held." Emeka sat quietly at the back, their son sleeping in his arms, peaceful, safe, loved. Moral lessons. Postpartum depression is not weakness, it's real, and it's treatable. Love means showing up, not fixing. Listening, not dismissing. Men must learn to support emotionally, not just financially. Mothers need care too, not just celebration, but compassion. Mental health is health. The silence around it must be broken. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe for more amazing and life-changing